faces I know, it's some faces I don't know. What made me put this thing together was I took somebody on a hike in Utah the other day, and one of my patients, and I asked him, "Are you still practicing your mindful practice?" Because we're going to be doing it on the trail. And he said he didn't get what I told him in the office. So I realized that when I try to tell people about how to be healthy, no question, it starts with nutrition and cholesterol fighting and diabetes lowering. It also includes exercise and movement, proper sleep. But most of my patients know that it really is mandatory. You have to do something for mindful practice because we're all under stress, whether you have a disease process or whether you're supporting somebody with a disease process or whether you don't have anything yet. I think inflammation is always the big marker nowadays. You'll hear it related to heart disease and cancer and MS and depression. And if we do nothing if we just do the exercise and the nutrition part, but you leave out the mindfulness, I mean, it's a big leg. And if normally if we slide into medicines, you're missing out on one of the biggest things that calms and decreases and reverses disease. So for those of you who came in late, can I have a show of hands again? How many people practice some form of mindfulness practice? So this is unusual because most of the time in a big room it's about 5 to 10%. So I think it's skewed. But for those of us who don't have a regular practice, hopefully you'll be able to grab something out of this. Out of the 5 of us who present today, and take it home with you. So the way I started I was disillusioned with medicine. I'm family practice and integrative medicine. I was disillusioned at one point in time, and somehow I ended up going to the Benson Henry Institute in Harvard to learn from this guy who came up with a relaxation response back in the 70s. And all he did was study monks with temperature. They didn't have fancy gadgets back then. They had like blood pressure cuffs and heart rate monitors, and actually had rectal thermometers. And that's how they actually studied these guys. They wanted to see if meditation would lower blood pressure, lower heart rate, decrease core body temperature, or raise it. They found it did. But just with that nugget from the 70s, he came up with what is the relaxation response. And usually the relaxation response is kind of the opposite of the stress response. Everybody knows the stress response, right? Stress response is fight or flight. So if the fire bells go off, stress response comes on, we all head that way with the reflex knowledge that we've known since we were kids, out the emergency door exits. But when I say you have to now practice the relaxation response, usually nobody knows what that is. In fact, of my patients, when I ask you what do you do for mindful practice, most people will say I just sit on the couch and I de-stress or have a beer or go eat. And that is relaxing, but it's relaxing at the price of inability to walk, immobility, eating, or alcohol, when you can do it for free without having to imbibe in this stuff or eat stuff. So the only problem is nobody's taught us that. The closest we have is probably when you're sent down to the principal's office in elementary school and you're told to sit in a chair for a little bit of time, and usually that's reflection time. But truthfully, that's what we're going to do today, is reflect and be in the present moment. So when I went to the Benson Henry Institute, I learned from this guy and a whole bunch of doctors that you can actually do this without having to carve too much time. A common reaction I'll have with a lot of patients is, I like yoga. When I ask them about mindful practice, I'll hear, I like yoga, but I can't do it but once a week. So that means once a week we're fighting inflammation. You gotta be doing it twice a day. Because just on the street for an 8-hour workday, you're in fight or flight for the majority of that 8 hours. So if you do an hour on Sunday in a yoga studio, that's cool. We have like 4 yoga teachers here. But that's not enough to neutralize all that stuff. So that's where I learned the technique. So I've done a couple different techniques. And that's what we're going to do today. We'll keep on learning different things, and you just try to listen and maybe participate as best as you can. So the first one I'll introduce you to is what Herb Benson came up with. So what I'll have you do is just get comfortable in your seats. And get comfortable, I mean you think you're sitting comfortably, but if you actually just plot you can get a feel for where your buttock is. Those of you who are comfortable, you can actually close your eyes just for a sec. The importance of disconnecting with what we're going to do in an hour, or the chores of the day, or getting outside. It's important, and sometimes one of the most important things, easiest things you can do is just turn off the eyes. There's so much stimulus coming into the eyes. So, with your eyes gently closed, and your feet comfortably on the floor, just notice how your thighs, your low back, your sit bones are touching the chair that's supporting you. And start to pay attention to your breath. We were doing it for the last 30 minutes unconsciously, but now we're going to pay attention to what happens when you have to inspire. Shoulders go up a little bit, chest kind of comes out. And what happens when you expire, exhale. Pay attention to the rhythm and the speed of your breath. And you sitting in this chair in this room in this hospital. And I want you to think about a word, sound, or phrase that just comes to you. You can, if nothing comes to you, you can think of the word heal, or the number 1. But the important part is to repeat your word, your sound, phrase, prayer over and over again in a nice, easy speed in your mind's eye. Every once in a while, you keep on repeating that. You can do it to the speed of your breath, or you can do it at a different interval. Once in a while, your brain will come back and make you think about something else. The noise around you, the cramp, the temperature. Accept it, just say, oh well, let it go, and go back to paying attention to your breath and your word, phrase, sound. I just want you to do this 2 minutes, over and over again. Try to link it to your breath so you have the interval going in, going out, repeat going in, repeat going out. It's okay to have extra thoughts come through. people, those of you who are experienced, probably dove right into it. When I was training with Deepak, he said he would meditate for 3 hours at a time. I thought, well, I think I've time for that. But the true statement should be, who doesn't have time for it? So what happens, I have to think on, and some of you might have not even picked it up, and that's okay. But hopefully within the next 45 minutes or so, you'll be able to do this again at the end and notice something different. So those of you who dozed off, that's okay too. Usually it means that you're tired. Mindfulness practice is different from rest and different from sleep. Mindfulness practice is when the brain is actively engaged, but it's also letting go of everything. So those of you who kept on concentrating on Brody hearing the collar or the guys outside with the doors, that's all right, it's normal. Don't feel bad, but as you practice, just like a marathon, everybody, all my marathon trainers for this year are training now for something in October, and that's a weathered athlete. When it comes to meditation, it takes time. So I think I took the Benson course 2006, I think, and I'm still working on it, but I have to find my way. And as I get older, my techniques that I picked up 10 years ago are going to have to be modified. So what we're going to try to do is introduce 3 different techniques, maybe 4 if we have time, on how different regions of the world have done this.